Little things make big differences in small communities.
Growing up in Newfoundland, I grew up in a fishing family, and the history of Newfoundland is so bound in the fishery. And when in the early 90s the downturn happened in the fishery, Newfoundland was in dire straits economically. And at that time, I was graduating from aquaculture, and I looked at aquaculture as a means of conservation. We knew we had problems with the capture fisheries. What can we do? People still need to eat a healthy food. People are directed to eat fish by even physicians. How do we produce that in a sustainable, environmentally sustainable manner? Aquaculture to me was a fit, but at that time, I had to leave Newfoundland to work in the aquaculture industry.
We went from rock bottom. Our community one time was, I suppose, one of the communities that had the highest rate of unemployment and the highest rate of social services in Newfoundland.
We were essentially a single industry town without an industry, and we had some very good enterprising entrepreneurs who had the idea of exploring aquaculture.
Since aquaculture come, that has changed. We've gone probably 75% up the ladder, and things are improving. You can see that with a new wharf being constructed here, and that's only just a tip of the iceberg. Specifically, agriculture in Belleoram has created something like 50 jobs. The majority of them coming from Belleoram, but around all of the coastal bays. Let me give you an example of a person that Cook's hired who was on social services. And it was the first time that he received some income. When he got his first pay, it was by direct deposit. And people had never heard tell of direct deposit before. After they paid the bills, his wife said, "Look, we got $100 left in our account. We've never had this before." And then the next pay period, they had another extra $100. He had 2 daughters, and had passed their grade 12 a couple years ago, and all of a sudden they said, "We're going off to college now." So he had some confidence to send them to college.
So now to come back and to live in Harbour Breton, where 5 years ago their plant had closed down, the major employer of the town had vacated, and none of these people had an opportunity to work, to now see that fish plant reopened and revitalized, processing aquaculture products, and to see these people back at work, to be able to return home as a highly educated Newfoundlander to not just a job but a career in the coast of bays, I mean, this is just invaluable.
But not only are the well-educated, trained people coming back, but we're also bringing new people into the region. And because those services are there, and because we're, gradually developing it, they consider it as a lifestyle. But it's not a remote location here with no services type thing. It's something that people are willing to come to and live in and be part of the community. That's a big thing too.
There's been a tremendous change. The communities down here that have really benefited from aquaculture have seen everything from people returning to the communities, to new houses being built, to new businesses coming in, to just real prosperity and a real feeling of we're actually making a go of this industry in this region, and that we can do it here. And it's brought a lot of really good feelings to the region.
I think aquaculture is presented certainly not an alternative, but complementary, job creation, wealth creation, and so economics is one. Very important, I think, also are the fact that people are working, which helps a sense of community and people feeling productive. There's activity going on here. There's people going back and forth to the 2 little stores. There's people on the wharf. There's boats coming and going. There's trucks going. There's a different feel. And you do feel it when you go into any of these communities, whether or not it's St. Albans or Milltown or Harbour Breton now as a good example, right, of really being revived again. So that's, it's real.
Specifically for this region, I see opportunities unlimited in the development of aquaculture. Right now, we're still in the infancy stages of aquaculture, yet we're seeing so much economic diversity being brought in. As we get more expertise, such as Cook Aquaculture and global companies bringing their expertise in, coupling that with the communities of Newfoundland who have the rural experience as well as the cold water experience, the development of aquaculture and making it work with our unique challenges is going to be unlimited. So we're seeing just the beginning right now of some of the benefits to the coastal bays and the economic region.
We've got 2 processing plants right now that are processing aquacultured fish. The processing plant that we contract out in St. Albans is probably one of the busiest processing plants in all of Newfoundland, and it has been for the past 6 years. And that's a fact that some people, don't realize how busy that is. It's not a plant that shuts down after 14 weeks, and people it's not seasonal. It's year-round employment.
For the agriculture industry in the coastal bays, right now you're looking at about 500 to 700 metric ton that's being landed with the salmon, agriculture and the trout. In 4 to 5 years, you're looking at 50,000 metric ton. And as the industry grows, so is the coastal bays going to grow. It's going to have to bring people in for the jobs, because everybody will have a job here, which is excellent, And not only is this with agriculture directly, there's indirect jobs. There's transportation. We need transportation, trucking. We need people with small engine repairs. And hydraulics. These are the things you're going to see over the next few years.
A lot of our communities were set up based on our traditional fisheries, so having aquaculture move in is great, but it's created a lot of challenges in the fact that we're using wharves that weren't meant for us, and we're using infrastructure that wasn't really built for our industry. So it's some challenges, but we're learning to overcome those.
Some of the challenges that lie ahead are in the fact that right now we don't have a lot of those service industries to supply the aquaculture sector, because we're just building that right now, as well as we do need to come up with a better regulatory frame to match what we have to deal with here in the uniqueness of Newfoundland and its cold water temperatures and when we can harvest and how we get to the sites and the siting criteria for some of the sites. But we have been now developing through the Newfoundland Aquaculture Industry Association some committees with government to take on these challenges now that the production level of aquaculture is improving and going up.
We're also fairly isolated from the rest of the province. I mean, you're 3 hours from an airport and you're 2 hours down a long, lonely road. And there's a price to be paid for being so far away, as we would think. But when you look at it, look how close we are to the eastern seaboard of the United States, where the main market is. The opportunities for us there is to produce and to develop our markets and as a fresh product into the marketplace. We're close compared to Europe, to the northeast United States. We're close compared to Chile. We're close compared to other regions in the world. And we do have a history of trade, especially in fish products, between Newfoundland and the whole Atlantic Canada region and the eastern U.S., where obviously the bulk of the population is to absorb that, that market. But so we may think we're far away, but in actual fact, in terms of the global picture, we're very close. Our challenge is to find better ways, I think, to get the product to the marketplace in a timely fashion.
We have hurricane wind events that will come up in the fall, and we have then harsh winter conditions and storm events that they have to deal with. So a lot of innovation into anchorage and cage design and mesh sizes needed, that type of thing. And then I guess from everything to hatchery design in the province and the need for hatchery design and our net cleaning services need to be improved, and there's a lot of work being done on that right now, and waste management as well, and how can we recycle as much as we can. Being such a rural area and then a remote province, recycling is very important in the province, so how do we recycle a lot of the materials from the aquaculture industry. And then on the mussel side, that's a lot of innovation into how do we grow our mussels and dealing with the Arctic ice, but we grow a lot inshore, so we're looking at moving to some deeper, perhaps offshore areas, but that presents a lot of challenges as well.
I would like to see more production of smolt nearby, as opposed to bringing it from other regions for biosecurity reasons, for just to have the economics of that taking place in the region. I think it would give us a better fish to work with, a better stock, not having to go these long distances with the production. Then there's just general problems with biosecurity that I see that are just come from, I guess, just lack of what I would call common infrastructure, wharves, and those sorts of things.
Well, in the next 10 years, hopefully before the next 10 years, a lot of infrastructure has to be put in place, and with us here at Newfoundland Aqua Services, we have to make sure that we get on land cleaning nets and maybe move towards using a biofoulant that's, get away from the copper, something that's more organic and just innovative ways of keeping nets clean and keep the industry going.
Some of the innovation I'd like to see is probably species diversification. Right now we are farming cod, which is a new species to be farmed in Newfoundland in the open ocean, as well as steelhead trout and salmon. But it may be an opportunity for Newfoundland to look at integrated multi-trophic aquaculture or potentially different species that are more cold water tolerant. And I would like to see some innovation towards some species diversification so that we have more product diversification as well.
In the coastal bays, we've got tremendous potential still with the finfish side of things. We have some shellfish farming here as well, but the Atlantic salmon, steelhead trout, and we're now venturing into Atlantic cod. Our waters are colder, they're deeper waters, but we have very clean, tremendous amount of coastline yet to be explored. So it's really hard to say how far we can go, but I think we're going to test it and we're going to see how far we can go.
Right now, as I said, we're at about 10,000 metric tons. The estimated capacity for our region is about 40,000 metric tons. So, simple math tells us we're only at 1/4 of the way there.
I think probably the only thing I'd like to add is to anyone who watches this is if they're ever interested in coming to Newfoundland and viewing our beautiful province, they're certainly welcome, because I think a lot of people have misconceptions about how can they farm here because we're so cold and they're so far north and there's so much ice. But I think once people come here and see what we have and see what we have to offer, it's a real eye-opener for people. So I just welcome them to Newfoundland.
If it has heritage training, that's one of our product lines. J-line is another product line. But what I've seen in Dominion and that area, in Central and whatnot, is the heritage route. Okay. Yep.
Getting some good footage still? Can you see this?
Yeah.
Focused in our center.
Yep. There's more aggressive sets that go underneath there. And they basically say, well, they're the big guys, we're going to eat, right? Yeah, that's right. And once they show themselves, they just go down and move out, and the other ones move in.
You guys have something like